Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, today I want to share a message of hope and reassurance under the banner, "Stop worrying, God will carry you through." Life is a journey filled with joys and challenges, victories and hardships. At times we feel strong and confident, ready to face anything that comes our way. But there are also moments when we feel lost, overwhelmed, and uncertain about the future. In those moments of doubt, fear, and loneliness, we may wonder if anyone truly understands what we are going through. It is in these times that we must remember a simple yet profound truth. We are never alone. No matter how difficult life gets, there is always a presence with us, a guiding force that never leaves our side. That presence is God. Even when we cannot see Him, even when we do not feel His presence, He is always there, walking with us through every trial and triumph. His love is constant, unshaken by our fears, and unaffected by our failures. He sees our struggles, hears our silent prayers, and knows the burdens we carry in our hearts. Sometimes, in the midst of pain, we question why we must endure hardships. We may feel as if we are fighting battles all on our own, struggling to find strength when we are weary. But God never allows us to go through anything without a purpose. Every hardship is an opportunity to draw closer to Him, to trust Him more deeply, and to discover the strength He has placed within us. When we surrender our worries and place our faith in Him, we begin to see that we were never truly alone to begin with. Think of a child learning to walk. At first, the child stumbles and falls, unsure of how to move forward, but a loving parent is always nearby, ready to catch them, to encourage them, and to help them rise again. God is like that parent, always present, always ready to lift us up when we fall. Even when we do not feel His hand, He is holding us, ensuring that we are never truly abandoned. Throughout history, countless people have faced great trials, yet found strength in their faith. Many have walked through darkness, enduring loss, pain, and suffering, yet they found peace in knowing that God was with them. The same is true for us. When we feel alone, we must remind ourselves that God is not only watching over us, but is actively guiding us through life's challenges. His presence is like a light in the darkness, offering hope when we need it most. There are moments when human companionship may fail us, friends may turn away, family may not fully understand our struggles, and the world may feel distant. But God is not like people. He does not turn away, He does not misunderstand, and He never abandons us. His love is perfect, unconditional, and everlasting. He walks with us in the quiet moments of despair, listens to us when no one else does, and strengthens us when we feel weakest. We must learn to trust in His presence even when we do not see immediate answers to our prayers. Sometimes the silence we perceive is not absence, but a reminder that we must rely on faith. Just as the sun still shines behind the clouds, God is still working in our lives even when we cannot see Him. He is shaping us, teaching us, and preparing us for something greater. Whenever life feels overwhelming, take a moment to pause and reflect. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and remind yourself that you are not alone. God is with you in every step, in every struggle, in every triumph. He knows your heart, understands your pain, and walks beside you always. No storm is too great, no burden too heavy, and no darkness too deep for His love to reach. You are never alone because God is carrying you through it all. Life is filled with moments when we feel weak, incapable, or simply not strong enough to face the challenges before us. Whether it is physical exhaustion, emotional pain, or spiritual doubt, there are times when we feel as though we have reached our limits. In those moments, it is easy to believe that weakness is a failure, that struggling means we are not strong enough. But the truth is that our weakness is not something to fear or be ashamed of. It is in those very moments of weakness that God's strength is revealed in the most powerful way. When we rely solely on our own strength, we often find ourselves feeling exhausted and overwhelmed. No matter how much we try, human strength has its limits. There will always be challenges too big for us to handle alone, situations beyond our control, and burdens too heavy to carry. But God does not expect us to do everything on our own. In fact, He wants us to turn to Him, to recognize that true strength does not come from our own abilities, but from His power working through us. Throughout history, some of the greatest victories have come from moments of deep weakness. Many of the most inspiring figures in faith were not chosen because they were the strongest, the smartest, or the most powerful, but because they trusted in God's strength instead of their own. Time and time again, the Bible shows how God takes the weak, the broken, and the uncertain and uses them for incredible purposes. Moses doubted his ability to lead. David was just a young shepherd facing a giant. And Paul admitted to having a thorn in his flesh that made him feel weak. Yet in each case, it was God's power that gave them the victory, not their own strength. God does not need us to be perfect or powerful in order to work through us. In fact, it is when we acknowledge our own weakness that He is able to show His power most clearly. When we reach the end of our own strength, we are forced to lean on Him, and in doing so, we discover a strength that is far greater than anything we could have on our own. It is in our weakness that His strength becomes our foundation, allowing us to stand firm even when we feel like falling. Sometimes we resist admitting our weakness because we are afraid of appearing vulnerable. Society often teaches us to be self-sufficient, to hide our struggles, and to act as though we have everything under control. But true strength does not come from pretending to be strong. It comes from surrendering to God and allowing Him to work in us. When we let go of the pressure to be strong on our own, we open ourselves to experiencing the peace that comes from knowing that we do not have to carry everything by ourselves. Difficulties and hardships will come, but instead of seeing them as proof of our weakness, we should see them as opportunities to rely more deeply on God's strength. When we pray, when we trust, when we surrender our struggles to Him, He provides the power we need to keep going. His strength does not just help us survive tough times, it transforms us, giving us courage, endurance, and faith that we never knew we had. If you ever feel like you are not strong enough, remember that you do not have to be. God's strength is more than enough. Where you are weak, He is strong. Where you are tired, He provides rest. Where you feel incapable, He equips you. Do not be afraid of your weaknesses. Embrace them as a reminder that you have a source of strength far greater than yourself. When you trust in Him, His power will lift you up, carry you forward, and turn your struggles into victories. Life is a journey filled with both joy and hardship. While we cherish the happy moments, the difficult times often make us question our strength and purpose. Trials come in many forms: loss, failure, disappointment, illness, or unexpected challenges. In these moments, it is easy to feel overwhelmed, to wonder why we must endure such struggles, and to question whether we have the strength to carry on. However, every trial we face is not just a hardship, but a test of faith, an opportunity to grow stronger and deepen our trust in God. Faith is not truly tested in times of comfort. It is tested when everything seems uncertain. When things go according to plan, trusting in God feels natural and effortless. But what happens when life takes an unexpected turn? When prayers seem unanswered, when doors close, and when suffering lingers? It is in these moments that our faith is put to the test. Do we still trust God when we cannot see the way forward? Do we still believe in His goodness when things do not go as we hoped? These questions reveal the true depth of our faith. Trials are not meant to break us, they are meant to refine us. Just as gold is purified in fire, faith is strengthened through adversity. When we go through challenges, we learn to depend on God in ways we never have before. We develop patience, endurance, and wisdom. Hardships teach us lessons that comfort never could. They remind us that we are not in control, that we need God's guidance, and that His plan is always greater than our understanding. Many of the greatest figures in faith endured incredible trials before reaching their purpose. Prophet Ibrahim was tested with the sacrifice of his son. Prophet Yusuf was betrayed by his brothers and thrown into prison before being raised to a position of great honor. Prophet Musa faced Pharaoh's oppression before leading his people to freedom. Each of them faced hardships that seemed impossible to overcome. Yet through patience, trust, and unwavering faith, they emerged victorious. Their stories teach us that trials are not signs of abandonment, but rather steps towards something greater. One of the biggest mistakes we make during difficult times is believing that we are alone. In moments of hardship, the whispers of doubt try to convince us that God has forgotten us. But this is far from the truth. God is always present, even when we do not feel Him. He is watching over us, guiding us, and strengthening us for the path ahead. Sometimes He allows us to go through struggles not to punish us, but to prepare us for something better. Trials also teach us humility. When life is easy, we may forget to turn to God. We may begin to rely only on ourselves and take our blessings for granted. But hardships remind us of our dependence on Him. They bring us to our knees in prayer, make us seek His mercy, and open our hearts to His wisdom. They deepen our relationship with Him in ways that ease and comfort never could. Instead of seeing trials as obstacles, we should see them as opportunities. Every challenge is a chance to prove our trust in God, to grow in patience, and to build resilience. When we choose faith over fear, we pass the test. When we choose hope over despair, we allow God to work through our struggles. When we choose to trust His timing instead of questioning His plan, we find peace even in the storm. No trial lasts forever. Just as night eventually turns into day, hardships eventually give way to relief. What we endure today will make us stronger for tomorrow. God promises that after every hardship comes ease. The key is to hold on, to keep believing, and to remember that every test of faith brings us one step closer to His blessings. So whenever trials come your way, stand firm, trust in His wisdom, and know that your faith is being strengthened for something greater ahead. Life is full of uncertainties. No matter how much we plan, unexpected events often change the course of our journey. There are times when we feel lost, confused, or even frustrated because things do not go the way we hoped. In such moments, doubt can creep in, making us question why certain things happen and whether our prayers are even heard. But amid all this uncertainty, one truth remains. God has a plan for each of us, and His plan is always better than our own. Trusting in God's plan means believing that He knows what is best for us, even when we do not understand it. It requires faith to accept that what we see as delays, disappointments, or detours may actually be a part of something greater that He is preparing for us. Often, what we perceive as setbacks are actually setups for something better. A closed door may be saving us from harm. A rejection may be redirecting us towards something greater. And a painful experience may be shaping us into stronger individuals. One of the biggest challenges of faith is learning to surrender control. As humans, we like to plan our lives, set goals, and work toward our dreams. But sometimes our plans do not align with God's greater purpose for us. It is in these moments that we must trust that He sees what we cannot see. Just as a parent does not always give a child what they want, but rather what they need, God does the same for us. He knows what will truly benefit us in the long run, even when we cannot understand it in the present moment. History and Scripture are filled with examples of how trusting God's plan leads to the best outcomes. Prophet Yusuf was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and imprisoned for years. At the time, it may have seemed like everything was going wrong in his life, but all those hardships were steps leading to his eventual rise as a ruler, where he was able to save thousands of people from famine. If he had not gone through those struggles, he would not have reached that position. His story teaches us that even when things seem unfair or painful, God is always working behind the scenes to bring something better. Trusting in God's plan also means having patience. We often want immediate answers and quick solutions, but divine timing is different from our own. God knows when the right moment is for everything to unfold. Just as a seed takes time to grow into a tree, our dreams and prayers also take time to come to fruition. During the waiting period, we may feel anxious or discouraged, But faith reminds us that patience leads to rewards. What is meant for us will come at the perfect time, and what is not meant for us will be replaced by something better. It is easy to trust God when everything is going well, but true faith is shown when we continue to trust Him even in the hardest times. This does not mean that we will never feel sad or confused. It is natural to struggle with emotions, but even in those struggles, we must hold on to the belief that God's plan is always for our good. Every hardship carries a lesson. Every delay has wisdom behind it, and every unanswered prayer is leading us to something greater than we imagined. No matter where you are in life, remember that God is guiding you. Even if the path seems unclear, He knows exactly where you are going. Trust in His timing, believe in His wisdom, and have faith that everything will fall into place as it is meant to be. When you trust in God's plan, you will find peace in knowing that you are exactly where you need to be, and everything that happens is leading you toward the purpose He has set for you. Worry is something that touches everyone's life at some point, whether it is concern about the future, fear of failure, or stress over things beyond our control. Worry often fills our minds and weighs heavily on our hearts. It drains our energy, steals our peace, and makes it difficult to focus on the present. But no matter how much we worry, it does not change the outcome of our situations. Instead, it only increases our stress and weakens our faith. The solution is to let go of worry and embrace faith, trusting that God is in control and will take care of everything. Letting go of worry does not mean ignoring life's responsibilities. It means recognizing that while we must do our part, there are many things beyond our control, and for those we must trust in God's wisdom. Worrying does not solve problems, but faith allows us to move forward with peace, knowing that whatever happens, we are not alone. Life is full of uncertainties, but instead of fearing the unknown, we should remember that God already knows what is ahead and has a plan for us. One of the main reasons people worry is because they feel the need to control everything. But the truth is, we are not in control. God is. He knows what is best for us, even when we do not understand it. When we worry, we are essentially trying to carry burdens that were never meant for us. But when we place our trust in God, we allow Him to carry those burdens for us. And in doing so, we experience peace that worry could never give us. Faith does not mean that we will never face difficulties. Challenges are a part of life, but faith gives us the strength to overcome them without being consumed by fear. It reminds us that no problem is too big for God to handle. Many times the things we worry about never even happen, and even when they do, they often turn out differently than we expected. Worry makes us imagine the worst, but faith allows us to expect the best. When we replace worry with faith, we begin to see life differently. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, we focus on the fact that God is guiding us. Instead of stressing over what we cannot change, we learn to surrender it to Him. This shift in mindset brings peace, joy, and a deeper connection with God. It allows us to live in the present moment, appreciating the blessings we have rather than fearing what might happen next. The Prophet Muhammad once said, "If you put your trust in Allah as you should, He would provide for you just as He provides for the birds. They go out in the morning with empty stomachs and return full." This beautiful example reminds us that just as birds do not sit and worry about their food, yet they are provided for, we too should trust that God will provide for our needs. Worrying does not add anything to our lives, but trusting in God gives us strength, hope, and peace. One of the best ways to let go of worry is through prayer. When we talk to God, we release our fears and replace them with faith. Instead of holding on to stress, we lay our concerns before Him, knowing that He hears us and will respond in the best way possible. When we truly believe that God is in control, worry loses its power over us. No matter what you are facing in life, choose faith over fear. Let go of worry and embrace the peace that comes from trusting God. Life will always have challenges, but with faith, you can walk through them with confidence, knowing that God is with you every step of the way. Life is like an ocean, sometimes calm and peaceful, other times stormy and unpredictable. Waves of hardship, uncertainty, and doubt can shake us, making us feel lost and alone. In these moments, we need something to hold on to, something strong enough to keep us grounded no matter how fierce the storm gets. That anchor is God's love. His love is unshakable, constant, and powerful enough to carry us through anything life throws our way. God's love is not dependent on circumstances. It does not change when we make mistakes, face difficulties, or feel unworthy. Unlike human love, which can sometimes fade or be conditional, God's love is eternal. He loves us not because of what we do, but because of who He is. A merciful and compassionate Creator who never abandons His creation. No matter what happens, His love remains firm, giving us the strength to endure challenges and the hope to move forward. One of the greatest sources of fear and anxiety in life is the feeling of being alone. When problems arise, it is easy to believe that no one understands our struggles. But God's love reassures us that we are never alone. He is always with us, watching over us, guiding us, and protecting us. Even when we cannot see His plan, His love is working in the background, leading us toward what is best for us. Difficult times are a part of life, but they do not mean that God has stopped loving us. In fact, trials often serve as reminders of His presence. Just as an anchor holds a ship steady during a storm, God's love keeps us firm in our faith, preventing us from drifting into hopelessness or despair. Every hardship we face is an opportunity to trust Him more, to rely on His strength instead of our own, and to grow in our relationship with Him. When we truly understand God's love, we stop searching for validation in the wrong places. Many people seek love and approval from others, believing that their worth is defined by human opinions. But human love can be imperfect and inconsistent. It can disappoint us, leave us feeling unfulfilled, and make us doubt our value. God's love, on the other hand, is perfect. It reminds us that we are valuable simply because we are His creation. We do not need to earn His love. It is freely given to us. One of the most comforting aspects of God's love is His mercy. No matter how many times we fall, He is always ready to lift us up. His love is greater than our mistakes, stronger than our fears, and deeper than our struggles. He forgives, He heals, and He gives us endless chances to turn back to Him. Knowing this should give us peace, because no matter how far we may have wandered, God's love is always waiting to welcome us home. Faith in God's love allows us to live with confidence and hope. It gives us courage to face life's difficulties, knowing that we are protected by a love greater than any challenge. It teaches us patience, reminding us that even when things do not go as planned, God is still working for our good. Most importantly, it fills our hearts with peace, because we know that no matter what happens, we are held securely in His care. Whenever life feels overwhelming, remember that God's love is your anchor. It will keep you steady when everything else feels uncertain. It will guide you when you feel lost and strengthen you when you feel weak. No storm is too strong, no problem too big, and no mistake too great to separate you from His love. Hold on to it, trust in it, and let it be the foundation of your faith. With God's love as your anchor, you can face anything with peace, knowing that you are always safe in His hands. See you in the next video, and take care.